Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the table. Welcome to the Grown Folks Table. We are so excited tonight to pull up and talk about the victory of Ahmaud Arbery. And I am joined tonight. We're a little light tonight, Joyce.
But we can hold it down. Come on.
We can, all right, we can hold it down. I am joined tonight with my co host, Joyce Littell, and the rest of the co hosts are having Thanksgiving festivities. And so we'll talk a little bit about that later. But tonight, we want to talk so much about the good news that was shared this evening, the verdict that went out about Ahmaud Arbery and the and the verdict, and how the guilty verdict was such a win and a victory for the African American community. How did it make you feel, Joyce, when you heard the verdict?
Well, I mean, I felt really, really, really good because I'm in the news business, and so we were sitting on ready. We
Yes.
were sitting on ready with whichever way it went. Thank God, it went our way, and it set a precedence for future cases. Because we knew. Come on, everybody knew from the video. We didn't have to be there, but from that video, it
Yes.
was evident that these men were guilty, and they were guilty 2 months after before when the situation happened.
Yes.
That was enough
Yes.
to get you all riled up. But
Yes.
for this day to happen was a glorious day for all of us, because we have seen so many times that at the end of the trial, then things sometimes didn't go our way.
Right.
And in this case, I was sitting on the couch. I was actually putting up a Christmas tree, and when they came down with that verdict, I think I dropped one of my ornaments. I was so happy about it because that young man didn't deserve to lose his life in that manner. And these men should and is now going to have to pay for that for the rest of their lives.
Mhm. The case in itself, ongoing, has been something to watch. We're talking about an incident that happened February of 2020, and to see what the family had to go through in the city of Brunswick alone. I mean, many people probably didn't even know about Brunswick, Georgia, in itself. But I think the verdict did something for that community. Also,
It did.
yeah,
It did. Because one thing is, when they selected the jurors, it was predominantly white.
yes,
And there was only one black representation in the jury selection.
yes.
So everybody around the country was saying, "Oh,
Right. This is a
boy,"
setup.
you
Yes.
know,
Yes. Hmm.
we already know what this
Right.
is going to be. And so for that jury to find all three of them guilty, I think it was 27 counts,
Yes.
and four of them were not guilty, but
Yes.
but the ones that were guilty stuck.
Yes.
So for that county and those jurors, for it to be so unbalanced from what we saw, it set a precedence for Brunswick and the people there, because if it had gone the other way, oh yeah, it would have been really terrible for that city.
Well, for me, for Travis McMichael, of course, he's the one that received all nine counts,
Hmm.
and I was really, really hoping, that this was not going to turn in favor for the other side, because that's what we've seen. So much in our community, and this is what Brunswick is, more of a rural community, more of a rural community
Right.
here in the state of Georgia. And talk to me about the whole citizens arrest law, because this case did something for the state of
Yes,
Georgia
yes, it
as
changed
well.
it. It
It did.
it
Okay.
changed that law because it made no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they were attempting to get off on,
Yes.
And because of this law now being changed, then people will reconsider, well, at least we hope, that they will reconsider their actions,
Right.
because this law was so outdated and antiquated that, it took those kinds of backwood men, yeah, that's how I see them, backwood men, to
Yes.
live on that law. And thank God that that wasn't used in this case, because that young man, he wasn't doing anything to anybody. He was just taking a jog
A jog.
in a community that he could jog in. I mean,
Right.
in this U.S. of A., we're not restricted from where we can walk, run, talk, drive, whatever we want to
That
do.
is correct.
And that's the part, because even in the trial, you remember one of the defense attorneys were talking about being in that community.
Yes, that is right.
I
Yes.
almost used a bad word on that one. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
out of respect, I'm not gonna.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, like, what you mean?
Yes.
Not in this community. I can run anywhere I want to run,
Right.
if I want to run. And so they were trying to use a lot of racial tactics that did not work. I'm like, come on, y'all. Come on, really?
And it's very unfortunate because a lot of people feel that way about their communities, but you're a U.S. citizen. You can drive in any community, you can walk in any community, you can run in any community as you want. And that's what the defense attorney was trying to say, as if he deserved what he received because he wasn't in a community where he lived, or he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
running in a community where he was
Mm-hmm.
or where he was welcomed, and for me, when I think about Black men, and how uncomfortable it could have made them feel at that time to even begin to start running in communities where they're not the majority,
Right. But
because they would
but
be.
you know what? That's what they deal with regardless. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? It's and hopefully this case, like how many cases we've had to deal with through civil rights, that this case will help sort of kind of level some of this playing field, that our young men will be able to do whatever they like to do as long as they are doing it by the way of the law. I mean,
Yes.
anyone that's operating outside of the law should be, have something, against them. But in this case, and in most cases, we are just being human beings in a particular place, and we are arrested or harassed or whatever because of the color of our skin and our gender. And I think that's what this case is going to help with. It's like,
Let's.
if I'm riding up in Alpharetta, and for those of you who are listening outside of this state, that's an affluent area in Georgia. But if I'm riding up in Alpharetta in my car, minding my own business, why should I be stopped? Just
Right.
because. And I think this will help, with that.
Mhm. To me, I'm still so full for the verdict, because I think it did so much for the African American community. I really believe we were on pins and needles watching this case, because I didn't think the case was gonna go in this direction. Until the video footage was released, until there
Mhm.
was some video footage. So then we go back to what we've had in previous conversations, Joyce, is that having a video almost it totally matters, because if you don't have any video or anything to show, then it becomes he say she say,
Right.
and then we're back to systematic racism that
Right.
puts us in that space where, oh, they will believe that person over what I say because of the color of their skin.
Right. And I was watching, when I was watching it, I was watching CNN, and they had a lot of legal analysts and correspondents on there, and they mentioned knee on my neck, his his
George
video,
Floyd.
George Floyd. They
Mhm.
mentioned his video, and then they mentioned this video, and how important both of these videos were in getting the guilty verdicts of both of the George Floyd officer, as well as these three men. So now you got to keep your phone on charge. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
seriously, with any and everything, it's like even if you're pulled over, unfortunately, with a traffic stop for whatever, you need to put your phone on, and you need to video everything that is going on that you suspect to be wrong, because obviously me saying that I was wrong doesn't weigh heavily on me saying I was wrong and here's the video.
That's
So,
correct.
we it's sad, but it's reality when it comes to us. So I just, I'm gonna keep my phone on charge. You hear
Charge.
me? On
Yeah.
charge, like full. You know what I'm saying?
But these are the times that we're living in. I
Yeah.
never forget this, Joyce. I never forget that there was a pastor friend of ours, of mine's and Tony's, and he had went Facebook Live. It was like right when Facebook Live had came out, and he was being pulled over, and he went live. And in my mind, I thought, oh, he's doing the most. That's what I was
Mhm.
thinking. Like, oh my God. And then Tony was like, no, he is really afraid for him to go live like that.
Mhm.
And then think about the town that he lives in. He lives north Georgia, okay?
Mhm.
And so I fit, and then I had to dial back a little bit and be like, wow, he must have been really afraid. He said, I'm being pulled over and I want everybody to see it. I am
Yep.
reaching for. And I'm just like, wow, that
Yep.
just really, my light went on in my mind to say the space that we're in, and for black men, to
Yep.
be pulled over, because then it would have been that person's word against this person's word.
Right.
So we're in this space where the video and having your phone on, and having lives and all of these things really do matter and make a difference in
Outside of just telling, I have a 26-year-old, and outside of telling him, how to deal when you are pulled over with an officer, I'm gonna have to go back and say, make sure you cut your videos on. Make sure you cut it on. You just click it on and put it in the direction of you and the officer in which you are talking, or you and any confrontation that you might have with someone, because
yes.
obviously your word isn't going to always work. You're going to have some support there to say, I told y'all this is what had gone down. And Ahmad, he couldn't speak. You know what I'm
Nope.
saying? He couldn't speak. So that
Nope.
video, and I doubt very seriously if they knew at the time that this video gonna have all three of them jokers in prison.
In prison, right.
Because I think they just thought history was
Yes.
going to let them
Yes.
off, and
Yes.
they were going to see it as a joke, have a drink
Yes.
over, and be like,
Yes.
"We killed that."
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So, I would recommend that to not just my brothers and but my sisters as well.
Yes.
Everybody, if you see yourself in a situation where you might have to defend yourself, this right here, thank you for it. you know,
Thank
and
you.
and
Mhm.
cut it on, because in this case, it sealed the deal.
You're right.
And
It,
and
it
we're
really did.
and we are so thankful. I think the world is thankful for that,
Mhm.
because had it not been the guilty verdict, we would be talking about something different right now.
But certainly, Joyce. And the other thing is the racial confrontation during this entire case. I'm so happy for the pastors that went down to do the prayer vigil on behalf of this case. On behalf of the family and supporting the community, but there were even comments in regards to that. I know there was
Hmm.
a call by Al Sharpton to have the clergy come down and pray. The Cat Pastors Alliance right here in Atlanta went down and supported it as well, which I'm a part of. But I also know there was comments about that. I guess they began to feel like, okay, they're getting all this moral support. How many pastors can you have? Is the comment
Hmm.
that was being made. And I think that level of support, we were all screaming and
Hmm.
defending Ahmaud Arbery.
Hmm.
It was like, okay, he can't speak for himself, but we're going to be the voice for him.
Yeah.
To say what happened. cannot happen to someone else, and justice must be served.
Yeah, it rung loud and clear. I mean, I love when I saw all the pastors going. Reverend Al Sharpton actually runs a show on the station in which I manage, WAOK, and he put a call out. You know, he's on his show. He put a call out, and when I tell you, pastors was coming from everywhere, and
Yes,
it wasn't just of one denomination. It was bishops, it was rabbis, it was everybody, because what that attorney said was absolutely racist and it was wrong. And enough, it's just enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was getting sick and tired of them myself. I was so glad when this was over and the guilty verdict came down, because I was sick and tired of them. Because although it was one man speaking, but can you imagine, Pastor E, how many people that one attorney represented in their thoughts?
that's correct.
You know
That-
what I'm saying? I mean,
No, that's a good way to think of it.
yes,
That's a good
especially
way.
in that city and just in the country in general. He represented a lot of thinkers. And
That's
so
correct.
and so what Reverend Al Sharpton did, and Jamal Bryant and everybody else who was down there, had to set another precedence. Like, look here, y'all just can't keep saying this kind of stuff and expect us to just sit back and just let you get away with
Way with it. No,
you know these days are over. Those days are over. We have the ability to speak to a mass of people. When Dr. Martin Luther King was going through and doing his civil rights, there was a few black radio stations across the country, and of course there were newspapers and things like that. So to get to the masses was a little bit different,
right, to mobilize
but
the people.
to mobilize. But
Yeah.
today,
Yes. Right. All you gotta do is pick up the same thing you just pick this up. Right.
so you don't want no more black pastors? Oh,
Right.
you don't?
You know. Oh, that's what you're saying. Well, we'll send a whole bunch of them down there.
How about a
Right.
thousand? Okay.
Right. Well, I can tell you, I'm so thankful. It's going right into the season of Thanksgiving.
Right.
What a great victory to have going into the holiday. It really was. I mean, one of the things, my heart still goes out to the family, because at the Thanksgiving table, there will be a chair that will be empty,
Right.
for that mom. But I do believe that this was something that brought closure to Ahmaud's passing,
Hmm.
and where justice was actually served. You could see that in all of the broadcasts of Ahmaud's parents. Both parents were filled with joy, to have this type of verdict going into the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, they are. I'm sure they are eternally grateful and
Yes,
and
yes,
thankful,
yes,
for this verdict that came down. And so it's some peace.
yes.
One thing that his mother talked about is she was not going to rest until this came down, until justice had been served, and
Right.
she got her justice today. So what a humbleness, that she will have, or just a good feeling that she will have, that the people that caused her son's death is going to not have a happy life from here on out.
Here on out. Yes,
From here on out,
yes.
and they shouldn't have, because they had no business and no reason to take that young man's life.
No grounds, not at all.
None, none,
Well,
none whatsoever.
well, everybody, you heard it tonight right here at the Grown Folks Table. Before we go, Joyce, what are you gonna have for Thanksgiving on tomorrow? Are you? I was peeling potatoes before I came
Oh,
on.
none of that for me. Look, I'm still trying to get over last year where I had to do everything. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because we couldn't go anywhere.
Right. No,
And
you're
so
correct.
and
Yes.
so Jay and I and the family had just dinner here. But
Yes.
I was, Jay and I, thank God I have a husband who doesn't mind being in the kitchen, but I had to be responsible for everything.
Yeah. You had to grow up in
You
1 year.
remember we had a show on Just Me trying to figure out, well, what we gonna do with this turkey.
Right. And
and,
me with the dressing.
and the ham and everything. But
Yeah.
thank God that times are changing and we are able to, be among more family and friends. And so my sister, one of my sisters, are hosting Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow, and I'm only responsible for my famous mac and cheese. So
Okay.
that's all I have to prepare.
That's all you have to prepare.
That's it. That's it. Thank you.
Well, go ahead, girl, and prep that macaroni and cheese.
Mhm.
I'm cooking the entire meal except for the dressing. I'm not gonna fight with that dressing this year. So I made it happen. Okay, the dressing and the gravy, I made it happen.
I know
But
that's right.
I'm looking forward to the spread, the turkey, the collard greens, the kale
Yeah.
greens, the yams, the macaroni and cheese.
All that.
All that,
When we
all
were
that.
sending out the list of who's bringing what, I was like, yeah, that right there, yeah, that. And then I saw Joyce mac and cheese. Got
Well, I know Libby is somewhere baking. She's
yeah.
there putting something in the oven, and Vicky is around there getting her ingredients together, and Dolores is watching her husband cook because she
Right. I was
already
about to say that. Dolores is not going in the
De-
kitchen.
Dolores is not going in the kitchen. She said, "That smells good." What you right? What?
She's just gonna look beautiful tomorrow.
That's it. Well, we'll post our food later tomorrow. Joyce is gonna take a snapshot of her macaroni and cheese, and
Oh,
I'm
that's a
gonna throw
must.
my spread up and lay it all out. And we look forward to joining you all right back here after the Thanksgiving holiday. Have a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving from the Grown Folks Table podcast.
Happy
Good night.
Thanksgiving, y'all.